Higgins is back in Adventure Island 2. This time, he's not alone in his quest to save his beloved. Various prehistoric friends will help Higgins defeat his fiendish foes. Adventure Island 2, the premier action-adventure game. By Hudson Soft.
Okay, kinda makes you want to buy the game now, but I'll be the judge of that. Hello gamers everywhere, Alec Alger the SideQuest Gamer here, and I would love to wish my fellow Americans a happy Thanksgiving. And what better way to celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday than to review Adventure Island 2 for the NES.
Adventure Island 2 is a sequel to Adventure Island for the NES. It was developed by Hudson Soft and released in 1991. And while the first Adventure Island was an adaptation of Wonder Boy, Adventure Island 2 is completely its own original game, as well as all other sequels that come after.
I mean, sure, the gameplay's similar with all the core mechanics there, but it tweaked up the formula enough to be its own thing.
One thing I forgot to mention in my previous review was that the first game felt like Super Mario Bros. With skateboards and axes. I mean, the axes you throw are like the fire flowers, with the only difference being that if you're hit by an enemy with a fire flower in Super Mario Bros., you lose a hit point, but you don't necessarily die. But if you get hit by an enemy with the axe power-up in Adventure Island, you die like you would even without the axe. Now, I've heard people say that Adventure Island was basically a poor man's Super Mario Bros. While I find that a little harsh, the game does borrow a lot from Super Mario Bros. But if it does it well, and the game has enough charm to have its own identity, so it's not necessarily a rip-off. But similarities exist even in the sequel. Adventure Island 2 reminds me of Super Mario Bros. 3. There's 8 worlds, and if you die, you start off in the beginning of the world you died in, instead of starting all the way in the beginning like in the first game. Well, that's where the similarities end. There's dinosaurs you get to ride on like in Super Mario World, but those games were released in the same year, and probably developed around the same time, so it's by no fault Adventure Island 2 if that element was similar. If anything, Adventure Island 2 borrows from the Arthur Conan Doyle novel, The Lost World, which had a tropical island in the present time, and dinosaurs were still alive on that island. But unlike The Lost World, these dinosaurs are actually friendly and will help you in your adventure. There are 4 types of dinosaurs you can use in the game. One shoots fire, one has an awesome tail whip, one can help you swim easily, and one can fly you around the level and even help you out in a boss battle. So the dinosaurs are really useful in the game, but sadly, if they get hit, they disappear and you're on your own.
So with dinosaurs and a more generous game over screen, you may think that Adventure Island 2 is easy. And let me tell you, you are so wrong. This game is hard.
How hard is it, you may ask? Well, on your first playthrough, the game can be harder than the Castlevania games. I mean, with memorization of enemy placement, you can probably get by, and multiple hours spent in the game can also give you an advantage, but basically, it's a really large learning curve if you won't want to actually master this game. From the looks of the level design, you may ask, how can these levels possibly be challenging? Well, the challenge really comes from the enemy placement themselves. The fire-breathing snakes and the jellyfish will really require some getting used to, and they are merciless. The jellyfish remind me of the bloopers from the underwater Super Mario levels, and I mean that the behaviors are identical and everything.
You couldn't make it to the finish line, couldn't you, Hudson Soft?
But that's the only enemy of the game that resembles something from Mario. But whether Adventure Island 2 is really a poor man's Super Mario Bros. Is up to you. The platforming is nothing too miraculous, to be honest, but the addictive nature is definitely there, and knowing you have to shell out probably 50 or 60 bucks for a copy when it was new, you were getting your money's worth back then, and more. The graphics didn't age that well, but is an improvement over the first Adventure Island, and is close to being just as good as other NES games released in 1991 like Mega Man 4 or Battletoads. The music in the game is decent, and improved from the first, definitely, but it's nothing you would hear at Video Games Live, but fits the level themes pretty well. Speaking of levels, the game introduces uses water levels, and they're not as bad as the first Super Mario Bros. Water levels, but they can be pretty annoying at times. There's also vertical scrolling cave levels, which is a nice change of pace, but can be beaten easily. The bosses at the end of each world may seem intimidating, but their attack patterns can be easily recognized and easily avoidable. They do get progressively harder in the game though, but there are multiple different bosses in the game, unlike the first one where you fight the witch doctor over and over. So what's the story of the first game? Well, after rescuing Princess Leilani from the witch doctor in the first game, you have to rescue her sister Tina from the witch doctor's followers. Why they kidnapped her is not specified, and I couldn't care less because a damsel in distress in a form of distress is still the same old thing, and brand new drag comes sweeping.
Sorry, but it's a platformer and it doesn't need a grand story to be a great game.
So, you can probably predict the ending of the game already, and I'm not one to spoil, so what's my rating? I would give this game an 84 out of 100 overall. It's not an innovational platformer, but this game deserves to be in everyone's NES collection and is a massive improvement from over the first.
And as much as I would love to review the third game in the NES trilogy for Adventure Island, I need to take a break because if I want to enjoy it fully and give it a fair review, I need to take a break so I can enjoy it fully when I get to it. Maybe sometime in January, but thank you for watching anyways, and I'm sorry I couldn't complete this marathon, but I will review Adventure Island 3 in January, so stay tuned. I do, however, have a special announcement. For the month of December, I will be taking a 2-week break, but I will make vlogs and top 10 lists and so forth. But during my 2-week absence of reviewing, I'll be preparing 8 reviews to coincide with the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. Even though I am not Jewish, I do think it's a good idea to celebrate with them. I mean, it's a grand holiday and it's very sacred to them. But that also means selecting holiday-friendly video games to review. Because if I do Oddworld Abe's Odyssey on that holiday, it may offend someone. Not because I reviewed a really dark game on a sacred holiday, but also because the protagonist Abe shares the same name as Abraham, who's a very important figure in Judaism. And like I said, because this game's really dark, I really don't want to offend anybody. So Oddworld will be put off until January also. So with that being said, the 8 review marathon is coming right up December 17th to December 24th. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay awesome!